Welcome back to the Fantasy Pros YouTube channel. My name is Derek Brown, and in today's video, today, baby, we are going to talk about 12 breakout players for the 2024 fantasy football season. Before we hop into these 12 names, and I know you're chomping at the bit, baby, but we're going to get there in a second. Before we discuss these players, we have got to talk about the mock draft simulator over at FantasyPros.com. You have got to start using this today. You want to start getting ready for fantasy season? Your fantasy draft prep has to start today. Start practicing drafting against realistic opponents and see how you stack up. You can complete a full mock draft it's in just minutes. That fast, people. Our mock draft simulator is quick and easy to use and will help you dominate your draft and crush all of your league mates. You can customize your mock drafts for your league settings, for your draft format, for the scoring rules. It is going to be the most accurate practice you can get out there. Try the mock draft simulator today on fantasypros.com/simulator or download the Fantasy Football Draft Wizard app today. Get mocking, get ready. Fantasy season is here, baby. Okay, first player up here we're going to discuss, Brock Bowers. And I know people are going to say immediately, okay, well, the rookie tight ends don't hit. Last year was a fluke. Brock Bowers is a guy that can continue this rookie tight end train into 2024, baby. You look over the last 3 years in college. This is a player that we really need to get our heads around and understand how freaking talented he is. In those 3 seasons in college, he never fell lower than 6th in receiving grade or 6th in yards per route run amongst all FBS tight ends with at least 20 targets. That is impressive. And now we're talking about he enters the Raiders offense. And yes, I understand we got concerns about Michael Mayer, how much routes and snaps he's going to run and play and things like that. We had the same concerns about Dalton Kincaid. Led to a slow start, didn't prevent him from breaking out last year. And this is not going to prevent Brock Bowers from breaking out in his rookie season. Again, concerns about Mayer, I get those. But after Devontae Adams, what are we so worried about? Jakobi Meyers, talented player, I like him. But are we going to say that a player of Brock Bowers' talent cannot ascend and be the number 2 option in this Raiders passing attack in year 1? Not ready to go there, baby. So invest in Brock Bowers, draft him early, draft him often. Next guy on the list here, going to the running back position, Jerome Ford. And you might be telling yourself, wait a minute, didn't we see the breakout last year? I think we're going to see another level for Jerome Ford this season. We cannot think that just definitively that Nick Chubb is going to be healthy this year, that we're going to see him playing meaningful snaps, a high snap roll, getting volume at any point in this season. Much less, what if that doesn't happen until week 13, week 15? We don't know right now. So we cannot assume that. And Jerome Ford is going way too late in drafts. He is primed for a breakout. And when I'm telling you breakout, yes, let's frame this properly. Weeks 13 through 17 as the Browns starter last year, he averaged almost 70 total yards per game. He was the RB20 in fantasy points per game. Jerome Ford could be an RB1 this year. And I'm not projecting that. That's not what I'm talking about. But it is in the realm of possibilities, much less taking a step forward and not being an RB2, maybe a higher end RB2 this year. It can happen, man, because on a per touch basis, Jerome Ford was really stinking good last year. 13th in missed tackles forced per attempt, 16th in yards after contact per attempt. I get everybody loves Deontay Foreman. I'm not telling you to not take him in the final round of your draft, but Jerome Ford should be looked at as this team's starter until we get any more word about Nick Chubb. He's ready to break out and reach another level in 2024. Okay, next guy out there, staying with the running back position, I got to discuss here, Zamir White. And if you're telling me he's the classic dead zone back, I'm going to push back against that hard here. And I know that I'm already doing that, discussing him as a breakout player. But what have we seen out of Zamir White? And I'm going to tell you, look, full transparency here. I was not high on Zamir White as a prospect coming out, but what he showed as the starter last year for the Raiders definitely turned my head in a full 180 and made me a believer in Zamir White. Amongst 41 qualifying running backs when he was the starter in weeks 15 through 18, 13th in explosive run rate, 6th in yards after contact per attempt. Those are not the efficiency numbers of a classic dead zone back. As well as we want to talk about, he averaged almost 115 total yards. He was the RB12 in fantasy points per game. If he stays healthy this year, he is a lock for 300 touches. Draft him now. The breakout's coming. Next guy on the list, it's a great year for zero running back right now, is Brian Robinson Jr. Add some respect to this man's name. Last year, I don't think that people understand how stinking good he was last year. RB 14 in fantasy points per opportunity. RB 22 in fantasy points per game. So you could tell me the breakout has already happened. I get that. But we haven't seen a full season of Brian Robinson Jr. able to just do the thing that he's been doing over the entirety of a season. And people say, oh, well, what about Austin Eckler? Again, you're not giving Brian Robinson Jr. enough respect for what he did in the passing game last year. He was 5th in yards per route run. He was also top 12 in PFF pass blocking grade last year. So all of this worries about Austin Eckler stealing routes and taking targets away from Brian Robinson Jr., those might be overblown. I'm not telling you that Austin Eckler still can't play well in the passing game, but we're also not giving enough credit to how good Brian Robinson Jr. is in the receiving game. He's going to crush this year. He's going to be the goal line back for the Commanders. Draft him now. Next guy we got to bring up here, Rome Odunze. And I get it. You're worried. Yes, if you're watching this video, you are worried about DJ Moore and Keenan Allen. And I get it. Those are valid concerns to have. Rome Odunze could prove in his rookie season he's just that guy. I didn't see Jamar Chase coming in his rookie season producing a top 5 fantasy season in his rookie year. Didn't see that happening. Did I think he was going to be good? Sure. Did I see top 5? No. Some guys, when they hit the NFL field, they're just that stinking good, and Rome is that kind of player. We need to understand that in his final collegiate season, 18th in yards per route run, 8th in PFF receiving grade, he can not only win in the short and intermediate areas of the field, he had a 15.5 ADOT last year. So what if he is not only a guy that can garner targets in his rookie season, but take the top off of a defense and end up with these high spike weeks on a continual basis, because he's the guy that's the deep threat, where you have Keenan Allen operating underneath. DJ Moore is a yak guy as well. Rome could be the guy where he's leading the team in deep targets and he's drawing a healthy target share. If he hits the ground running in his first season in Chicago and we get more passing volume, because the other part about this is Shane Waldron as the new OC for the Bears with Seattle in 2021 to 2023, they rank 7th in neutral pace and 9th in neutral passing rate. If we get that type of passing volume in Chicago this year, Rome is going to break out in a huge way and crush his ADP. Okay, next guy up on the list. Now, I love talented rookie wide receivers, and I'm not shying away from a guy that's going to gobble up a truckload of targets in his rookie season, and that is Malik Nabers. Talking about a talented rookie wide receiver who was 3rd in yards per route run, 1st in PFF receiving grade. Ooh, and looky there, 4th in missed tackles forced last year amongst all wide receivers. Malik Nabers has the talent, and there's nobody that's going to contend with him for that wide receiver 1 spot for the Giants. And I get it. You got concerns about Daniel Jones. We all got concerns about Daniel Jones. But if we get at least league average target quality from Daniel Jones, Malik Nabers should eat in his rookie season. No other wide receiver on the Giants squad last year had more than a 16.9% target share. If Malik Nabers, and he has the talent to do it, and he has the runway to do it with the other players on that depth chart, if he can earn a 25% target share in his rookie season, the Giants threw the ball 518 times last year. That would equate to, at a 25% clip, that would equate to 130 targets and would land him amongst the top 20 wide receivers in overall raw target volume last year. He has the talent to do it, to command targets and produce when he gets the volume. I'm drafting Malik Nabers. The breakout's coming.
I'd like to introduce BetterHelp as the sponsor of this video. If you have not given therapy a try, I implore you to take that step today. BetterHelp connects you with a licensed therapist who is trained to listen and gives you helpful, unbiased advice. First, go to their site, betterhelp.com/fantasypros. You answer a few questions, and BetterHelp will match you with a professional that has years of experience. You can do this all from your phone or your computer, however you feel most comfortable. It's the easiest possible way to start talking to a therapist right now. You'll be matched to the therapist usually within 48 hours. You can get started quickly. Again, visit betterhelp.com/fantasypros to get started and enjoy a special discount on your first month.
All right, back to the top 6 part of this list, the meat and potatoes. The first guy I'm bringing up here is Christian Watson, and I already feel it. I feel it out there. You're watching this video, you're eye rolling, you're considering maybe turning the video off because you're like, I'm not going down that realm again. Not doing it. Not going to draft Christian Watson again. None of us have a crystal ball with injuries. I'm sorry. None of us do. I heard Keenan Allen couldn't stay healthy all last year. How did that happen? Heard previous years all the jokes about Will Fuller, and he was crushing until he was suspended. Christian Watson could take the league by storm this year. And for everybody, and I know I'm going to upset the Dontavian Wicks hive and the Jaden Reed hive. I get they're buzzing and they're upset with me already for bringing up Christian Watson's name here. But I want to draft the real wide receiver 1 on the Green Bay Packers, and that is Christian Watson. Last year, weeks 5 through 13, he led the Green Bay Packers in every meaningful metric we look at for wide receivers. Target share, air yard share, yards per route run, end zone targets, first read share, still even more to the list, and first downs per route run. He was the Green Bay Packers wide receiver 1 last year, and he will be the Green Bay Packers wide receiver 1 in 2024. Draft him confidently. The full season breakout is happening this year. All right, next player up on the list. We're going to be investing in talented second-year wide receivers. The first name I'm going to give you right here in this little twofer is Jaxon Smith-Njigba. I'm high on the Seattle passing offense. Geno Smith was really good when he got clean pockets last year. So I think the Geno bounce back is real, and I think the JSM breakout is going to happen. What we saw out of him when he wasn't nerfed into this ridiculous, idiotic screen merchant role last year that Shane Waldron put him in, he was awesome. Amongst 81 qualifying wide receivers, when he was running routes on the perimeter, Jaxon Smith-Njigba against 81 wide receivers, 15th in yards per route run, 4th in targets per route run. And you're saying to yourself, then why didn't he score fantasy points? Why did I not see all of this happening? Because when he wasn't on the perimeter, Shane Waldron had him utilized as a screen merchant. He had the 7th highest screen target rate, 7th most screen targets amongst all wide receivers. That is going away in 2024. I'm giving credence and credit to Ryan Grubbs and saying, hey, guess what? I think we actually get real utilization for Jaxon Smith-Njigba as a true wide receiver this year, as a player that we had questions about him coming out as a prospect. How well was he going to test? What was that going to look like? How explosive is he? We never had any questions about his film or his ability to run routes and get open. He's going to do that. He's going to prove all the haters wrong this year and break out in 2024. All right, again, talked about the twofer, second-year wide receiver. We're, again, investing in talented sophomore wide receivers, strong bets to always make. That's leading me down the path of Zay Flowers. We have a consolidated passing attack, people. It's Mark Andrews. It's Zay Flowers. We're off to the races. And Zay last year, everybody wants to talk about, okay, what he did or didn't do. He commanded a high market share of targets and a high first read share. We saw without Mark Andrews on the field, his first down per route run rate increased and his first read share jumped all the way to 30.7%. Now, the problem with Zay Flowers last year is a lot of these were short area targets. Okay, so what do we want? We want more work in the intermediate and deep portions of the field. That can happen in 2024. We're going to get good quarterback play out of Lamar Jackson. And we also want touchdown equity. We want end zone targets. We didn't see that with Mark Andrews on the field, but without Mark Andrews, in that 8 games that we saw Zay Flowers operating without Andrews on the field, he got 6 end zone targets. I think the end zone targets with Odell Beckham gone, I think those move more in the direction of Zay Flowers, and he lifts off. He blows the roof off of it in year 2. The breakout's coming. All right, now we're going to break into the top 3 breakout players that I have for this video. We are going to discuss a quarterback. Jayden Daniels, I've been singing his praises all offseason, and I'm not stopping here, people. It makes no sense why people do not want to invest in this guy, and I'm going to say this right now and get this out the gate. If he stays healthy and he starts all the games, he's a top 12 fantasy quarterback this year. Book it. Lock it in. It's going to happen. What do we want out of our fantasy quarterbacks? We want rushing. Check. What else do we want out of our fantasy quarterbacks? We want play volume, baby. We're going to get that with Cliff Kingsbury. And Jayden Daniels, the other part of piece that we're not giving him enough credit for is his abilities as a passer. You can look at every metric you want to last year in his final year at LSU, and he's
near the top in every meaningful statistic. And people are going to say, and they said it years before with other talented quarterbacks, well, could he be a one-year wonder? Was that the case for Joe Burrow? Okay, no. Did his wide receivers make Jayden Daniels, or did Jayden Daniels make the wide receivers? I think it's Jayden Daniels, baby. He's the truth. Was that true when people tried to shade Joe Burrow again about, well, it was the wide receivers that made Joe Burrow? No, wasn't true then. Even last year, people said that about CJ Stroud when they were all touting their S2 scores and how he wasn't quite as good as people hoped he was. Was it Chris Olave? Was it Jaxon Smith-Njigba? Was it any of these other talented Ohio State wide receivers that made CJ Stroud? No! It's a bad narrative. Continues to be a bad narrative, and I'm not buying in. I'm buying into the talent of Jayden Daniels, the rushing upside of Jayden Daniels, and this Washington Commanders offense to outplay expectations in 2024. Draft him. You'll thank me later. All right, got to discuss him here. The guy that was going to be always on this list. It wasn't a question of if, but where I was putting him. Drake London. I'm in on the breakout, man. Sound the bells and whistles. We need to have a party. Arthur Smith is gone. Drake London breakout season is here, baby. And the talent is real. We saw it in his rookie season. You cannot be a talented wide receiver and command the numbers in his rookie season that we saw from Drake London. 4th in target share, 15th in yards per route run, 7th in first downs per route run. All these stats courtesy of FantasyPointsData.com. Drake London is an awesome player. He gets the quarterback upgrade that he deserves, that he needs. And what did we see out of the Falcons passers last year? They were terrible. 4th lowest adjusted completion rate from them as a group. 3rd lowest catchable target rate. Those numbers are going up in a big way, whether you want to talk about Kirk Cousins or even the fallback plan of Michael Penix. Drake London is getting competent quarterback play. We're getting passing volume injected into this offense. It's going to happen. Drake London season is here. And that leads me to the number one breakout player for 2024. It has to be, it should be, and the name is going to be Anthony Richardson. I get it. You're worried about injuries. Again, injuries happen. It's football. This is the game that we're talking about. Any player can get hurt at any time. I'm investing in talent and I'm investing in upside, and Anthony Richardson is the easiest breakout call of 2024. What we saw in a small sample last year was absolutely fantastic. The 2 full starts we got out of Anthony Richardson, he averaged more fantasy points per game than Josh Allen. He led the entire freaking league in fantasy points per dropback. All we need is health. We have increased and upgraded weapons around him. Jelani Woods is finally healthy. Adonai Mitchell, we're saying, okay, everybody that loves Adonai Mitchell, what can he do in his rookie season? Josh Downs, a fully healthy version of him, and Michael Pittman's still there, as well as Jonathan Taylor opening up running lanes for A-Rich and some space underneath in the passing game. It's going to happen, baby. Invest in Anthony Richardson in 2024 and enjoy. Okay, that's the top 12 breakout players that I have for this upcoming fantasy season. Again, before I get up out of here, head over, use the mock draft simulator right now. Get mocking, get ready. The 2024 fantasy season is coming quickly and you need to be prepared.